What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs, back again for another Spurs preview. And today we have on Deji Spurs. How are we doing, sir?
Yeah, mate, I'm good, mate. Delighted to be here, Luke. Thank you, man. And this friendship that we're garnering over the last couple of months, I'm loving it, mate. And I'm loving your content and what you're doing, bro. So big up to you.
Appreciate that, mate. Appreciate. As always, guys, Deji will be tagged in the video, and also his link will be below. If I had a little look just before we started, closing in on 5K now, so that would be an amazing target to get to, guys. Obviously, we are currently looking at, I think we're 2 away from 1.2K. So let's see if we can reach both them targets after when this video comes out. That would be unbelievable. We'll get straight into it. So 10 questions, as always, same 10 questions to all guests. Just a quick roundup, your thoughts on last season.
Yeah, look, my thoughts on last season, I think in the main it was a pony season. Anyone that knows me knows that I like to see our club doing well in the league. The fact that we finished, I think I coined it around about October as a laugh. I could see us losing 18 games. Never did I think in my wildest dreams that Spurs would lose 22. So from that perspective, I thought it was poor. However, what saved the season was the Europa League win. But did it really save the season? I think we could have so easily have lost that final, and then we would have been talking about the worst season in our 146-year history, or at least up there with one of the worst seasons ever. Yeah. So for me, I'm glad to see the back of that season. Delighted that we won a trophy and we got one over the Spicy Spurs, Scotch Bonnet FC. But you know, for me, what would have been better is I would have taken a top 8 with a trophy. That I would have preferred.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's very much what side of the fence you sit on, and as you said, like if we'd have lost that game, it would have just gone down as not only would it have been the worst season ever, but it would have been a situation where we kept the manager throughout that whole period as well, and just absolutely crazy. Well, as you said, we won the cup, so European champions. So we'll just sit on that one.
And to be fair, look, if you had asked me at the beginning of the season, the goal for Spurs was to get Champions League football and to win a trophy. And did that. It's just the manner and how we done it is why it was so poor. So, and I do feel like as Spurs fans, as much as we loved it, we celebrated, we got that trophy, deep down in our hearts, we were like, that was pony.
Yeah. I don't think anyone has turned around and said it was unimaginable what he done, but unbelievable at the same time on both ends. You know what I mean? So yeah, 100%. I think to get that off of our back now, the trophy's done, and it's almost like you really have to build. But talking about building, obviously, Ange's now left. Frank's come in. What are your thoughts on Thomas Frank's appointment?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie to you. Initially, when I heard that we were, being linked to Thomas Frank, I was like, bloody hell, it's a sideways step. I knew that Xavi was available, you know what I mean? And you can just see the job that Enrique is doing at PSG. So I wanted someone with a name. I wanted someone with a bit more flair. But then as Thomas Frank has come in over the summer and I've started to listen to his interviews, it's kind of started to make sense. In the sense that one of the issues we had was Ange's lack of adaptability. Yep. Well, Thomas brings adaptability. One of the other issues we had was Ange didn't really bring out the best in average players. And you got to think, even under Poch, he was turning average players into big boy players. I don't remember Danny Rose being that guy before Poch or Carl Walker. You know, all of these, Dele Alli, all of these players really stepped up their game. And he's done a similar job at Brentford with Mbeumo, with Wissa, with Ollie Watkins, with Ivan Toney. These are championship players, let's be honest, that he's made Premier League players. So if he can do that with our squad, with the likes of Basuma, by the way, Udogie, do you know what I mean? These are players who I felt underperformed. Bentancur, Papsar, do you know what I mean? Then it could end up being a genius appointment. And so I think it makes sense. And I just hope that he's given the time and the resources to get it right. But we haven't got time to waste. Like, I feel like with Thomas Frank, the scrutiny levels are going to be even higher, almost Nuno levels. And why do I mean? Well, if he's not a big name anyway, so he's got to hit the ground running to really win over the fan base properly. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, 100%. And obviously, there is quite a following of Ange within the fan base. So there's a lot of people that whoever the next man in, they weren't going to be happy with. So there's going to be extra scrutiny there. Although I would flip it the other way and say if Ange was still here, there would have been the people that were Ange out that would be overly scrutinising everything he done. So I always felt that the start of this season was going to be quite a difficult one for whoever was the manager. You've mentioned it there, obviously. The next one is sort of linked to what you was saying. What in your eyes, what do you think Frank brings to Spurs? Not just from a tactical point of view and what he may do differently to Ange, but he definitely seems, I know he's at a smaller club, but community, a family feel. Obviously, he's brought a load of coaches in with him. There's a lot of positives that we can see in Frank. What do you think he brings to Spurs?
I actually think that Frank, he brings a lot to Spurs. So I think that he's a unifier. You can already see that he's a players manager. He gets his arm around the players. He's someone that he can induce confidence. So that's good. I also think that Frank, because of the limited resources he had at Brentford, he had to really tap into Brentford's academy. And they didn't have an academy, but under Frank, they brought their academy back. And I think hopefully we will start to utilize our academy a lot better. I was on Spurs Diehards yesterday and we were talking about the fact that, you know, every other London team seems to be bringing in proper players, young players who can start now apart from us. And so I'm hoping that Frank can readdress that. And then, you know, I really do think he can just settle the club. I also think that we'll probably suffer less injuries under Frank simply because he's more pragmatic. He's more, you know, he's not led by his ego. He's led by the situation. Mm-hmm. And I felt that at times we were led by egos too much. And he's a humble chap. And I think it's that humility that he brings. And I think, dare I say, maybe to the fan base, maybe to even the likes of me, that humility can go a long ways. Let's put our heads down. Let's work hard, and actually let's surprise the league, because that's what Brentford did. No one gave them a sniff, and actually then we woke up one day and they're like, bloody hell, this is a top half team. This is a Premier League side, and it shouldn't be. If you look at the resources, the size of the stadium, the budgets that he's had to work with, and so I'm hoping he knocks it out the park for Spurs and brings home a few more trophies and a decent European run, season in, season off.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the European run and what's needed from Frank. I agree completely in terms of we need to utilise the academy a bit better. Unfortunately, normally when you make changes with the academy, it takes a few years for them to come to fruition. And obviously, Paratici did bring in quite a few things. I don't know if you remember Mourinho saying that once Scarlett and Devine are in the first team, there is a clear drop off. No one else is anywhere near the level. So hopefully we're making the right changes now to bring in. And we're certainly looking at obviously younger players with Vuskovic, Gray, Bergvall, etc. And I completely agree with all of what you've said there about Frank. I think he's never going to have a problem with players. He's got a great attitude. And yeah, maybe we need to kind of get to that level and go back to the whole hard work, worrying about that first, and then maybe we'll progress up through that. In terms of this one, now this question has changed from different guests, because when I brought the first guest on, we were looking like we were going to get Morgan Gibbs-White over the line. We'd have just got Kudusa over the line, and it was kind of looking a little bit rosy. However, the last guest, since he came on, Manny, we've now obviously no longer got Morgan Gibbs-White over the line. It looks very much to me like there's no number one target now in place. It's almost like come as a shock to everyone at Spurs. Like, we thought this deal was done, and it doesn't look like there's a backup option at this moment in time. But what are your concerns? It can be transfer related. It could just be, again, from board to coaches, wherever you want to go with it. What sort of concerns do you have for Spurs, if you've got time to put them all?
Yeah. No, honestly, I guess my main concern for Spurs is that when you think about the squad at the moment, it's looking quite poor. Yes, you know, I'm just after the Morgan Gibbs White. So at the time, Morgan Gibbs, Kudus, you're thinking, all right, you're rubbing your hands together, and then you're hearing the likes of Wissa, Adam Walton, Tottenham bringing those signings. We're a different team.
Yep.
As it stands, we've just got Kudus over the line. We need to bring in 3 players. We need a left side. We need a left winger. I'm not prepared to accept that Matthias Tell is going to be our main guy on the left hand side. Not just yet. I think he can do a job, but not now. I would like to see a Mitoma level player or a Neto level. Yeah, that geezer at Real Betis that played against Chelsea in the final. Someone of that ilk on the left hand side. We need a 6. We were looking at Adam Walton. We were looking at Edison over the years. We need a proper 6. We need to get rid of Basuma. We need to get rid of, you know, a few other players. And dare I say, man, we might even have to look back into the transfer window for a striker. I like Solanke. I want to give Solanke a chance. But in the off, that he's not the guy we thought he was. Can we bring in a Vlahovic, you know, of that ilk, so that we know we're guaranteed 20 plus goals? Because, you know, we haven't really got time to mess around. The other thing that brings me concerns is injuries, man. We've just heard that Udogi's been injured. We need a cover for Udogi. I've been banging on about Robertson from Fulham from the last time I was on your show, and I'm going to bang about him again. Go and get Robertson, go and put 45 million down, and he can hit the ground running. We need cover for Van de Ven. And I hope that's Viskovic, you know. But when we brought in that Kota Take, is that going to mean that Viskovic doesn't come through? I really don't understand what we're doing in that regard. So really, that's my main concerns on the pitch. And then the obvious concern that I think is we haven't played well pre-season, I have to say. It's been quite pony. It's been rubbish, to be honest. We've got Arsenal tomorrow. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. You know, I expect us to get whacked up simply because Frank is still probably working out his ball bearings. But
yeah,
as someone said, we're literally 2 weeks away from PSG. Well, we can't play PSG looking the way that we're looking, mate. So we're in for a lamping. And then literally the week after we start the Prem. So I'm concerned that we could have a slow start to the Prem, which is why we needed to get Ange out in the first place. And we still need players, man. We need to get those players in ASAP.
Yeah, I completely agree. And obviously, it was a long time ago, but Frank predominantly does start slow at both of the clubs that he's previously managed. He had a slow start at Brentford, and before that, he also had a slow start in the Danish league. So it wouldn't surprise me. But I will say, with the friendlies, I don't really take too much of a worry in terms of friendlies. But the 3 previous games that we have played, it's very been mixed match teams, etc. People just trying to get some minutes in the legs. You would expect now from Arsenal onwards, all of the clubs were playing are pretty competitive. You would expect to start seeing almost what we would expect to see as a number, like first 11, if you like. So it'd be interesting to see, because we've seen, for instance, I might go against what a lot of people believe, but Ben Davies in a way suits that left back role if Porro's going to be the one to push on, because it seems that a centre back's kind of coming in to cover. So it could be that is Van der Ven utilised a bit more of a left back. So I'm really interested to see what a first 11 really looks like under Frank, because at the moment it's a complete guessing game. So, but everybody has echoed your thoughts and concerns in terms of, are we going to get what's required? Are we going to get them in? And then obviously, as you said, the start to the season, pre-season hasn't been great. So hopefully that improves. You kind of again touched on it, and most of these questions, they do kind of interlink, if you like. But and again, a lot of people have got very similar thoughts on this. Who should Spurs sell? It's got the same names coming up quite regularly. The big one that obviously most people are kind of having conversations about is Heung-min Son. Is there anyone other than the norm? We've got probably Basuma, Richarlison has been mentioned, Solomon, Hill, them sorts of players, and then Son as well. So who do you think needs to go out?
Yeah, Son definitely. I had Son to go before last season because I wanted to get 60 mil for him, and I think we could have 50, 60. Now he's worth about 20. He's got to go. I feel like the biggest issue with Spurs is the lack of preparation. We knew this day was going to come. So the successor to Son's throne, as it were, should have been in place from time. For me, that's a Matoma, that's a Neto, that's a that geezer from Real Betis. But Son has to go. If we keep Son, then I don't think we're serious. He's not the same Son. He's not going to do anything close to what he used to do and what he used to bring. And then, look, I like Richarlison on a personal level, but I am happy to sell Richarlison if you bring in a better player.
Yeah.
So if you bring in Eze, sell Richarlison. But if you're not going to bring in Eze, then do I want you to sell Richarlison? I'm not so sure. He did do a job at Everton. The same that I feel for Basuma. Make way for an Edison. Make way for a Adam Walton. But again, if we're not going to bring in that type of player, or maybe a Polina, then you might want to keep a Basuma, because I still have this underlying belief that Thomas Frank could do the unthinkable. If he can bring back life into these players, we won't need to do much signings. Basuma, there's still a player there. It's just someone needs to unlock it. The same for Richarlison, the same for a lot of the lads that we've got. Apart from Son, I think the others could do something if you unlock it. Whereas I feel Son is just past his time. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And then who else would I sell? Yeah, I would just sell people on the periphery. The Solomons, Ben Davis. I don't know why we've extended Ben Davis' contract. It's just like, come on, like get rid. Like, we need to just freshen things up. And that would be it, really. Yeah, so not to labour, but those are my thoughts. If Thomas can do something great, but yeah, the periphery, the Brian Yields, the Mona Solomons, they should have gone a long time. Yeah. Like, for me, they're not our players. I don't even consider them our players.
And it's really funny. I've been saying this for a while now, but the Spurs succession planning is just and squad planning is just ridiculous. And you said that about Son, and I think it was in the previous video that I've done with Manny. I said exactly the same thing. As a club, anyone else, Man City, Liverpool, they would have all had a youngster that's coming through the ranks that we either go out and purchase or come through the youth system that learns off of a Son. He's the perfect player to learn from. Attitude, everything is perfect. Work rate, all of that sort of stuff. Learn from him, and then when he gets to the point where you kind of go, maybe he's not the guy anymore, you've then got him on the bench or coming on to influence games. But what a player to learn from. Instead, we've waited until now before we go and get the guy that needs to replace him. It's just a really, really strange philosophy. Harry Kane, same thing.
Yeah, well, the successors was Madueke and Marcus Edwards. Let's just be honest, both sold. Do you know what I mean? But had our recruitment, had our academy been functioning proper, because Marcus Edwards could probably do a job, on the wing. Well, he's better than Odegaard, in my opinion. He's better than, Matthias Tell. At least we'll see. And then Madueke has been brought in to challenge Martinelli, which is the left-hand side. So again, we've had the talent and we've got rid of the talent as well. So it's madness.
Very, very frustrating. I have a feeling that I already know the answer to this question. And again, once the Morgan Gibbs-White situation came to an end, everyone had exactly the same answer. Are you happy with the business that we've done so far? I was hoping it would have a few more signings asking these questions, but it is what it is.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you, mate. I'm happy. I'm over the moon with Kudus. Let's not mess about that. We brought in a real top draw player there. Brennan Johnson, take the bow, mate. Sit down and watch a real right winger do his thing. So Kudus for me was a surprise package, and you've got to give props to where props is due. After that, it's been a total disaster. Because for me, what I don't want us doing what Arsenal are doing, which is they're strengthening their squad. We need to strengthen our first 11. And when you look at our team, if we don't bring in 3-4 Kudus level players, I'm talking they walk in and they are starting. There was no doubt when we brought Kudus. You knew he was starting. He's not challenging. He's starting. I need starters. And that needs to be a starter for the left and a starter in the 6. And I would definitely say if we could get cover for Udogie and maybe even, like I said, Solanke. So yes, so business so far, happy with Kudus, but everything else has been pony.
I completely agree. And again, I think everyone's echoed exactly what you've said. Moving on, you've kind of mentioned it again there in terms of who should Spurs bring in. This doesn't necessarily have to be names, but it could be just be positions. And you've already gone a little bit into that. But then I am keen to know who the number one target, if you could go and get one person, you've already mentioned your Eze types, that sort of thing. If there's one player that you go, just go and get him. He is almost a game changer. Who would it be? But as I say, who else would you look to be bringing
in? There's two, and the kind of lurkers who are going to be on this channel who have subscribed. I don't know what for, the Red Tottenham fans. We'll probably be laughing in the comments for this one. But I say if Spurs are really serious, we go and get Rodrigo, mate. Rodrigo would be a crazy signing. We've been linked with him and we've shown interest. So for me, just the fact that we've even reached out to Madrid on this means that we could surprise everyone. Don't get Rodrigo. He sorts out that left-hand side. And now you've got Rodrigo on the left, Kudus on the right. Are you joking? We're going to kill people with them. That's my number one signing, Rodrigo. And then if Tottenham really want us in La La Land, I'm telling you, bring Eze and it's like screw Gibbs White. No one would even care. Because remember, the original person we all wanted was Eze. That tapered off a bit. Yep. And then we went into Gibbs White because we thought Eze was going to Arsenal. Well, Arsenal are fanning in about anyway. Mm-hmm. And we get Eze over the line. If you could get Eze and Rodrigo, mate. If that, awesome.
If we got them two over the line, I don't even care about a defensive structure. I don't even care about who comes in. Just be play. Go back to the old style where we just go forward, gung ho, and who cares how many we defend. Rodrigo, Eze, Kudus, and then Solanke brings it down a little bit. But
come on,
that will be.
Come on, and we've been linked with both players for those people in the comments. So calm yourself down. But if we bring in Rodrigo, if we bring in one of them, that would lift the mood in the camp. And Kudus, great player, but isn't the signing, isn't the marquee signing. So we need a marquee, and it's Eze or Rodrigo to be. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I come into this a little bit, but you're bringing up the positivity here, mate. If we can go and get either one of them over the line, I think it will be. And as you say, it has stalled on the Arsenal side. It looks like they're not prepared to go to where Palace want them to go, essentially. So,
and I'm hearing that we're ready to smash our wage budget for Rodrigo. And we're going to need to smash it. And for me, I think Rodrigo wouldn't mind coming to Spurs. Couple reasons. He's going to be the main man. He's going to be the highest earner. He's playing Champions League football. And you know what? We're going to love it. He's going to have Kane-esque status at Spurs, isn't he? You know, he's going to be lauded like you're the man, you know. And so sometimes in football, you just got to look at going to where you're going to be loved most. And he's going to be loved most at Spurs.
Just thinking of this, and this isn't part of the questions, but if we was to sign Rodrigo, which I do think is an absolute dream, I don't think we've signed anyone on his level for a number of years, but have we signed anyone that's a level below him? I think we're probably shopping in the market even below that sort of thing in terms of we might sign a Sonny who's got great potential and actually he's obviously delivered on that. But when was the last time we signed a player that was proper? Like Kudus is probably the level of signing that we potentially made in the but I'd say Rodrigo is a couple of levels above, and that's no disrespect to him.
I think the last time we had a Rodrigo level player, what comes to mind quite quickly is Klinsmann. Maybe Ginola to a certain level. Maybe not quite Ginola, actually. I think Klinsmann, really. You're talking Klinsmann. And then when Modric came to Spurs, he wasn't the Modric that we all knew. He was still up and coming. So I would say Klinsmann, because he was the main man. The main striker of that time,
completely agree. When I was asking the question, that was the only name that I could think of. Where, as I say, you've got your Bales, your Modric, your Sons who have come in and gone on to become that, but we didn't sign them at that level, did we? So you've got me in a positive spirit.
Mate, I think you can do it, man. And people say, look, we got 60 million, add an extra 20, Rodrigo come, and the thing is, I said it to you last time, Luke. We can get. I didn't see why we can't get the best of the rest. I think all you need is one marquee, and then you need Kudus level players, because Eze is not Rodrigo level. He's the step below. I can work with that. But in a squad, you need 1 or 2 Rodrigos. That's all, and then the rest. Yeah, you can do a job.
Son and Kane. We had them 2, and everyone else was playing catch up as far as I'm concerned. But look, we was a very good team at some point with them. So completely agree. Rodrigo would be an absolute pipe dream. Imagine that would be stunning. Then moving on. So one to watch this season. Now, I think a lot of people have thought that when we're asking this question, it's around like you need to say a Mikey Moore, a Bergvall, a Gray, or anything like that. That's not the case. This is just one player that you think, because I personally, I think that virtually everyone played under the level they should be at last year. Even though we won that, I still think that everybody has levels to go above. So, for instance, we've had Vuskovic, I think, mentioned in this. We've had James Maddison was mentioned. Kudus was mentioned. So who's the one player that you think, core, and it can't be a Rodrigo because we haven't got him over the line yet, but we can come back to this if we do.
Can I name a couple players?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So obviously one to watch will be Kudus. A lot of people are talking about he was poor at West Ham. Mate, unleash the dragon with Kudus, and you're talking. I think I said it on another stream. I asked the question, who's better, Kudus or Saka, in terms of 1v1? And Kudus has the potential to have the same impact on Spurs as Saka has on Arsenal, because 1v1 is better. He's full of tricks. He can score goals. He's just a danger. And we know the likes of City, he's better than Zaha. These are the levels that we're talking about. So Kudus is one to watch. Could be our star player this season, our star boy. I really like Vuskovic, man. I think Vuskovic should be next in line, with Danzo to be starting for Spurs. And I could see, if we don't get a 6, why not put Vuskovic in the 6 as a defensive midfielder? I think he's smart enough, clever enough. But the one thing he has over our whole team is that this kid knows how to score goals. I can't remember the last time Spurs had a goal-scoring defender. Not the odd goal from Romero. I'm talking proper. And it hasn't been since Ledley King / I can't think of anyone else that's got a few goals, maybe 4 or 5 goals. Doesn't really happens for Spurs in the defence line. So I would like to see Vuskovic. He could be a standout. And then for me, I'm going to go with Matthias Tel. Matthias Tel. The reason why I'm going with Tel is because I've seen clips of Tel in Bayern Munich. Harry Kane was wax lyrical about Tel. Tel was doing bits in the Champions League, but then was out injured and then couldn't get back into the squad under Company. If you unlock Tel, you unlock another Kudus. And then we could be dangerous. So here I'm talking about Rodrigo. We might have that already in Tel, but because of Ange and his system and not able to see the talent, it's an unknown. But I say look out for Tel, look out for Kudus, look out for Vuskovic.
Yeah, I think all 3 of them, and for the reasons you've named, are the goal that Vuskovic scored. I know it was only against Reading in a pre-season friendly, but for a centre-half to do it on his weak foot just shows the kind of level of player that he is.
And he scored lots of goals for Westerlo as well.
Yeah,
he scored 9 goals,
overhead kicks and header. He's an absolute. You can just see he's an absolute beast in the air, and I think he's about 6'4", 5", something like that. But what you normally find is the taller the players are, the less that they're able to physically jump. Whereas he can actually jump and leap as well. So I think he will be a good player in the Premier League if we can just play him at right times against right teams, that sort of thing. So, but Tel, I've been saying for ages, I can't quite tell you exactly why I like Tel, but there's just something about him that I think, again, if you just unlock it, and I think with Frank, I think he'll play closer to the goal. I think he'll probably play to his strengths better. I think he could be in for a decent season. Season. So.
I said at Adrian's show that I think Tel could be our Whisper.
I like him. I don't know what it is. I can't sit there and say he does this fantastically well or that. I just think that he's got something where he can just go up the levels very, very quickly.
I think he can. And I think Thomas Frank, and that's why Ange had to go, because he was not going to unlock anything from Tel. But I think, Tel could be the surprise package. And I'll be delighted for him, because at the moment, we haven't seen enough to say this, but we are going with a little bit of faith. Do you know what I mean?
We're doing faith and Spurs. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, but it is what it is. And then a hot take for 25-26. You don't have to do. You could do league place. You can do. We're going to win something. You're going to do. The last couple have been. I think Solanke to get 20+ league goals. It could be whatever you want. But what's your hot take for the season?
I think we have a sculpt, man. I think the first thing is we beat PSG in 2 weeks' time. That's already a big statement, and we have our second trophy, and we dangled the carrot that we've won 2 trophies over the scum. You know what I mean? Just like that. And then also for me, a hot take would be that Solanke scores more goals than Gyökeres. The way these guys have been shaking their bum violently, I would just love for Solanke to have more goals than Gyökeres, and Gyökeres maybe to struggle and get less than 15 goals would be really, really funny. But yeah, from a Spurs perspective, Solanke to score more goals than Gyökeres, for us to beat PSG in a couple of weeks, and for us to basically challenge, man. I'm talking about top 4 finish and with a domestic trophy. Wouldn't that be amazing? For that time.
Unbelievable. And funnily enough, the last question is the expectations around the season. So we normally do it by competition. Everyone seems to be in the same sort of boat here in terms of just saying, just be competitive in everything. So going from PSG right the way through to Champions League, don't make a fool of yourselves. Don't go out to a terrible team, a lower league team. Be competitive. And if we come up against some of the big guys, then at least show something about us. How amazing would it be, as you just said, that if we finish this season where we are competitive everywhere and we manage to get an FA Cup over the line, it would just be absolutely ridiculous. But let's just start with the 2 cups. We'll start there. League Cup and FA Cup. Now, I've said it on previous shows, but with the League Cup, I actually think that because Ange just got that trophy over the line, I think that it might become almost like what the other guys down the road did with the Carabao Cup and let full youngsters essentially take every single game in this competition, because if we do want to compete in any sort of competitions, this is going to be the least of the priorities at the moment. And as I said, because we've won the trophy, normally if you go out the Carabao Cup, all fans go, oh, that was our chance to win something. We don't need to have that after winning something last year. So I think it might be really youth, Vuskovic, Gray, Bergvall, Tell, etc. But what are your thoughts? What are your expectations and hopes for the cups?
Yeah, I don't mind winning either of them. I don't know how we're going to set up and play, but I think for Frank to get, if Frank got the Carabao Cup over the line, he's done a great job. However he does it, I think he's done a great job. It's his first season, so you got to taper expectations. FA Cup would be a dream. But yeah, I can kind of see that because we're balancing, we're competing on 4 fronts, and that's Daniel Levy has made that very clear that he wants us to compete. So he's going to have to play the kids, as it were, in those competitions. And I think rightly so. They need opportunities to play. And if that's the competition they're going to play in, then let it be so. But I would say, as a minimum, it would be good to keep the momentum going by taking another scalp. If we win the Super Cup and then you pick up a Carabao in the last 2 seasons, you're saying Spurs are doing well. We're doing what we do, which is that we're picking up trophies. And so I'd say that.
And then in terms of the Champions League and the Premier League, what are your sort of expectations around the finishes? I think most people are kind of saying if we can get through the league phase of the Champions League and get into at least knockout rounds, that would be acceptable. And then there's a few different opinions on the league. I mean, as I say, some are saying they think that we could potentially push up to top 4. I think we've even had some people on here saying top 8. So where do you kind of sit in them brackets? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Don't know how that happened. Sorry about that. It's tough. When we were about to get Morgan Gibbs over the line, I was talking top 4 because there was momentum, and then there was the talk of like the likes of Wissa coming through as well. And I was thinking, bloody hell, if you have Wissa, Morgan Gibbs, that's top 4. If we weren't to get anybody and we just brought in Kudus, then I think we would do well to get top 8. If we bring in a bit more quality, like the tier you said, so we're not talking the Rodrigos, we're not even talking Eze's, but we're talking maybe a Gomez from Wolves, we're talking maybe a Belaba from Brighton, that kind of ilk. Robertson from Fulham. Then I'm saying top 8, top top 6
Yeah.
at most. If not, I'll take top 8 for now with a Carabao. Champions League. Look, I would like to see Spurs go up against Real Madrid in the league phase, go up against the Barcelona, win, lose or draw. I just like to see the best teams playing at my club in the stadium. But I would love for Spurs to get to the last 8, ideally. If they got to the last 8, that would be an amazing achievement. And I don't see if you get the luck of the draw right, that should be doable, or at least the round of 16. So I think I'd have pride that Spurs got out the group. Round of 16, maybe last 8 would be amazing. And anything after that is a bite end off.
I completely agree. And obviously, before the Champions League final and before the Europa League, 2 of my favourite games and experiences at Spurs was I got the Wembley tickets where we was there obviously for a few years, and in back-to-back seasons we played Barcelona with Messi and Real Madrid with Ronaldo. Obviously we beat Madrid at Wembley, which was unbelievable, but just that's the whole point of being in a Champions League. You don't want to keep playing low-level teams all the time, although it's easier. You're there to play your Real Madrid, your Barças, your Bayern. So 100%, I'd love to be able to sprinkle it with a bit of easier teams so that we can progress and pick up points, but have some of the big guys as well. And that's the whole reason for the Champions League.
That's the whole reason. When people used to banter me about, but what's the point in going into the Champions League? And I was like, but what's the point? Only one team can win Champions League, so hush your gums. Mate, I want to see Spurs against Barcelona. I want to see Tottenham Hotspur go at it at the Bernabeu, at the Nou Camp. I remember when we went and got that draw at the Nou Camp, mate, I was chuffed to bits. I want to go to the San Siro against Inter Milan, see what we can do. I don't want to be playing some next team in some, you know what I mean? Like, come on, that win, lose or draw. I want to see the best players with my club standing toe to toe, and whatever happens this season, we are guaranteed that. And for me, that trumps anything else. And so I'm grateful to Ange for that.
Yeah, completely agree. Guys, that is the end of all of the questions. As I said at the very start of the video, if you stuck around, thank you very much. Please like the video, subscribe to both of us. We are on the march to 2K, and Deji is so close to 5K. So if we can push the numbers up, as I said, then that would be a great achievement. And we are European champions, so let's all stick together, eh? Really appreciate all the support recently. Channel's been absolutely thriving. It's been brilliant to see. So thank you, everyone. Thanks to brilliant guests like Deji and the other people that have came on. So massive thank you to you all. Last thing from me, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.